All right, everybody. We are live, unannounced live stream. I haven't been on in about over a week. Took a little hiatus, but we're back and we're going to talk about some pickup dating stuff with my good friend Jaren. So, just a quick intro on Jaren, man. Like, this guy has his stuff dialed together really good, especially with utilizing dating apps and utilizing Instagram. And I popped over to his channel to check it out or whatever. Okay, he's putting out some stuff and it's really, really good stuff.
Oh,
Uh,
good. Thanks.
yeah. So it's you have a way of breaking down basically like it in a very systemized way. Like when I'm delivering my stuff and getting especially in a deeper level game, especially with the mastermind, which I got to invite you over to the forum over there.
Oh, yeah.
But we're it's more of a circular kind of a learning process because people are at different levels, different spots, and of course they're connecting with different people on different levels, but you have a great way of taking that communication process and that social interaction, particularly with women dating and on the apps and being able to systemize it, have steps A to B to C, how to get there. And a lot of guys just need that, they need that piece. It's very difficult for them to
Yeah.
figure out how do I maximize, I'm on a dating app, but nobody wants to reply back. Like, what am I doing wrong? And they probably are missing several steps, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
To get
exactly.
the results. So I saw your first couple videos on Instagram on how to set up your Instagram, how to, set up the longer one you did on how to utilize dating apps. You went all PowerPoint on it, dude. You were like, this is like a
I
boardroom.
like PowerPoints. Yeah, I'm an academic, or I was an academic. So I'm like, how do I get my message out there? I was like, well, this is the way I learned it. Or I just struggled and then figured it out and then reverse engineered the process that I eventually went through. But
Right.
I get the results I like. I have a very, very rewarding dating life. Let's just say that. So I
Yeah.
definitely want to share
Well,
the
and that's
process
the
with
thing.
people.
You got the receipts. You don't need, it's not about that, but you have it. I know you're getting results. You're absolutely killing it in the dating market. And then the information that you give though will help other dudes kill it in the dating market too. So that's the thing that I look at. So,
Yep.
because receipts can always be fabricated. I know yours are not because we've been on like in Rich's 1% group, we're not showing
Yep.
off there, right? We're a closed group. So when I see what you're doing there, I know it's real because you're not advertising it out there. But that is only one element. The other side is, can you get the other guy to get some results with what you're telling them to do? And the answer is, yeah, definitely. So yeah,
Yep.
man, just I mean, we'll start with you though. Like, what to give us a little bit about your background, what you want to tell everybody, and how you got started with your website and your channel and all that, and what you're planning on doing with it.
Yeah, so for people who already follow me, you probably already know the we call it like the red pill origin story, or like your
Yeah.
genesis.
The Batman
So my
origin.
Yeah, there we go. So my origin story, typical American kid, grew up with like the blue pill beta fantasy, had the real conservative mindset of how relationships should work. So my first girlfriend in high school, she sat next to me in my AM Lit class just because we sat alphabetically. My last name's Scott. Her last name was something very, very close to it. And I was actually obese at the time. Didn't even realize this girl had liked me. Lost like 100 pounds in a year. So I cover like I have a fat to fit series on my channel too, that I'll be covering a lot of those topics. And realized very quickly that once I had lost the weight, the girl actually liked me. She actually asked me to prom. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting attention from the opposite sex now. And the whole reason I lost all the weight was because I was not like an 80s movie, but I was somewhat publicly humiliated when I'd ask girls like prom or homecoming stuff. I'm like, all right, society told me, hey, you're not fat, you're big boned, or you're beautiful in any size or anything like that. That doesn't work for men, by the way.
No.
Even back, this was like 17 years ago. So that's where I realized I was red pill receptive, but didn't really do anything with it. I lost all the weight. I was with that high school girlfriend for a few years, had the blue pill fantasy, like, all right, we're going to get married. I went to college with her. She got into a not so good school, and I got into very good schools, and I went to the not so good school. And within a week or so of her pledging a sorority, she had already cheated on me with two guys. So at that point, I was not too happy about that. I had the opportunity to go study abroad in Mexico. I was just going to be down there for like 6 weeks to do like an intensive Spanish language course. Turns out I was really good at language, and I tested out of all 8 levels. Tested in originally to level 1, like basic Spanish.
Nice.
But I had a couple weeks until the course started. I went to Mexico early during the summertime, and I tested out of all 8 levels and enrolled as a Mexican student to play baseball down there. So I did pretty well in my early or late teens, early 20s. I had lost all the weight, started lifting, had dietitians, trainers, all that stuff. So started getting the physique together. And being a gringo in Mexico playing baseball in the university leagues, well, I had a lot of opportunities for intimacy. Let's just say that. But I never really got the red pill side of things together just because it was a target-rich environment. And I pretty much had my pick for a couple of years. And then, of course, I got out of college, fall into the story that like a lot of guys worldwide, especially American guys do, where okay, I still had the expectation of getting laid all the time from college. Picked up kind of a little drinking habit too from college. This happens to a lot of guys. Got into the corporate world, made that my focus. Did really well. Got promoted up through the ranks really quickly. By the time I was 30, I was well into the 6 figures. However, during that process, at one point, I ended up getting married, and then that relationship, let's just say, it did not work out. It ended up being like
was she not a happy wife? Happy
no,
life?
not at all.
No?
She was a great girlfriend. She was an amazing girlfriend. But the minute the ring went on the finger, there was a green card play there too. So once the green card arrived, she decided to vacate the marital home. That's why my lawyer said it. Yeah, Ms. Scott vacated, or Mrs. Scott vacated the marital home. And started doing the things that a lot of guys are familiar with, like, oh, I don't feel good in this relationship. I don't feel secure. Then it got to the point, like, I don't trust you. Like, I don't feel safe around you. I'm just like, what are you talking about? I'm the chillest person ever. So at that point, it put me in like kind of emergency mode, frantic mode, because again, going back to my early 20s, I thought I had this all figured out, but it's just because I was a foreigner playing baseball in Mexico. So it was a target rich environment.
You had what I call the status trap. It happens to so many guys that I get in my consults and stuff, because I got guys who will schedule and they're like, and for confidentiality, I can't say who they are. They're blue check marks, a lot of them are they're either high earners, well known. Some of them just well-known people, like you can search them up.
I'm seeing that too now that I'm getting my stuff going. Yep.
Right. And so what'll happen is like, it's like they have an abundance with women. They thought they thought they had their shit together, which would make sense, right? Because the formula is sexual market value, how your value as a man in the sexual marketplace, or perceived value. And then it's your opportunity, right? How many opportunities you have, and then skill. And those are 3 things that will determine the quality of relationships you have with women. Well, status is the promise of all of those things, or at least sexual market value and skill, but it's not. Skill is skill, right? Like I can present myself as if I'm a really good baseball player, but that doesn't mean I'm actually a good baseball player. I have to have the skill. Yeah. And so what happens is, these guys have all the women to choose from, all that stuff. And then they get in these relationships. They think they got to figure it out. And as you found out, there's missing pieces there. When I say skill, it's information, understanding, and all that, right? So yep.
And
common thing. Very common.
And at that point too, like not to say she was 100% to blame, but she was a good girlfriend. We lived in California together. I had a small alternative like lending brokerage company in San Diego, so I gave her a pretty fun lifestyle too. And then that business ultimately failed. I made 3 very bad business decisions in the perfect timing and the perfect order to ensure, like like there's a car accident, they do like the post-accident report, and there's all these individual variables, and if they're put together in the right cadence and the right sequence, and everything is perfectly aligned for something bad to happen. So I did that in this business. I think that kind of rocked our foundation. I had given her some money. I was like, all right, we both had family in Texas. I was originally from there. So I was like, all right, go to Texas, go ahead and, get us a place, get it set up. I'll be 90 days in San Diego. I'll tie it up and we'll go start our lives together. I figured out after the fact, after we were married, that she had taken that money to go to a music festival in Miami, and met up with an ex-boyfriend from Colombia, which is where she was from.
Gotta love it.
She also had a guy in Texas who she's actually now married to. So that whole thing.
Well, that's nice.
So my Spidey said, "Oh no, I'm glad," because I was worried about. If you sponsor like the change of status, like you're potentially on the hook for 10 years financially if they use any government services or anything. So
Right.
for me, I was like, oh no, no. The minute I heard through the grapevine she got married, I'm like, oh, hallelujah.
Yeah, it's over with, right? So that's
Yeah.
good, man. That's good.
Yep. So for me, yeah, I was the happiest person she got remarried of anyone in the world.
Right, right.
But it's a pretty common story. Like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have a girlfriend, you think things are going good, you put the ring on the finger, maybe you have some financial hiccups or things like that, and then the foundation is rocked a bit, and she goes a walking. And
Yep.
I had suspected something was up for a while, ignored my intuition for like a year. I had already gotten a lawyer at that point, and then one night her cousin, good guy, like reached out, invited me to beers. He's like, hey bro, I gotta break it down to you. He's like, I can't. He's like, you're a good dude, I think I'm a good dude, I could see this happening to me someday, and just I gotta be right. He was really Christian, so he's I gotta do right by God. Like, here's what's going on. She's had not one boyfriend, but two boyfriends the entire time. The guy you suspected, yes, that's the guy she's been with, and they've actually been pretty serious for a while now. So I'm like, great, thank you. Called my lawyer. I was like, hey, let's roll on it. Didn't have any assets because of that business failure that happened previously. So no kids, got out of it really quick. But at that point,
sorry, I was laughing at Jerry's comment there. What do you think?
Oh,
there,
yeah,
Jerry?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, Jerry. Hey, how you doing?
We'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, geez. Yeah, we can get to the comments in a second. So at that point, I'm like, all right, well, I got to figure this out, because I don't want my relationships to be this way. I don't want my life to be this way, with the bad business, the bad breakup. Well, there's never a good divorce. Like, I went through a bad divorce. Like, mine was relatively good, actually, compared to most guys.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, I need to rethink this. Started looking for answers, and eventually came across. Well, my brother was a vet too. He got injured in a training exercise and was in a coma for quite a while. So
damn, dude,
spent a lot of time. Yeah, same summer, bad summer. Spent a lot of time in the hospital room. So I was just on the laptop. We had to the non-military medical advisor, the NMA or whatever the acronym was. I was one of those. So I had to make like medical decisions, and we tag team other members of my family and I, week on, a week off, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I discovered Return of Kings, started reading a lot of that, started following, I think Donovan Sharp was launching his channel at that time, started following him, which got into like Rule Zero, found guys like Rich and other guys in the space.
Sure.
Ended up going more towards Rich's direction, but I've leaned on other content creaters for different chapters of my
like different things to value, that are valuable.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, like even like a lot of I work with everybody that that I think is a good human being as much as possible. That's like my only thing. Like, I actually don't care as much. I do care about the skill set a bit, but for endorsements and things like, but I mean, I'll bring somebody on if I think they're a good person, right? And it's like they all.
Nice. That's a test.
No. Yeah, no. You're a good dude. Well, you also, I do endorse what you're doing though. That's a difference, because I know you're getting the results. So there's that. But like I might not. I got guys that'll disagree with each other, but they all have a little bit of value. Like Donovan Sharp's a great example. I have guys that maybe don't necessarily agree or resonate with his material, but I've checked out a few videos that just caught my eye. They were really good, man. He talked about a few things that nobody's talking about on one of the things that came to mind was the aspect of race. You know what I mean? And chicks staying black, cover that too, man. And then that's a good topic. And I don't really talk about that all that much because I'm a white dude, right? So it's like,
you're not allowed to.
I don't know, and I don't know that, like, I have, it's not that I don't have a, I'm not like this racist guy or something. Like, I don't care, but it's just, it's what are my, I have insights, but it just hasn't been a topic I've breached. And he handled like he hit that topic really well in one of his videos. So there's just a great example. But you got to pick and choose, like the material that is going to help you, and then discard the rest, and that's just a good point to make here. And you were doing that, which is good. And this is why I'm bringing this up as a lesson to everybody listening, is not to follow a guru, but find what it is that you need and be yourself. I don't want anybody listening to me to be me, or to be Jaren, or to be, somebody else. Be you, and you decide what is going to work for you and what resonates and what doesn't. You know what I mean? I'm a person who is got a lot of good things going for me and a lot of bad things going for me. I'm a flawed human being, just like everybody else.
Everyone else.
Right. But I have a certain expertise in certain areas. There's certain things I can help people with. That's what I offer. And, pick those things, gravitate to those things. And that's what you did. There's a lot of things in Return of Kings that when that was being, it's pretty much a lot of garbage articles there, but there's a lot of good ones
Yep.
too, so you pick what works for you. And now here you are. And I know you're doing really well with that. You've hacked the dating thing. We'll put it like
Exactly.
that. You have that formula. You see the formula in that matrix, and now you're sharing it with other people, which is good.
Yep, and that was almost accidental. So I was going on my red pill journey, following content creators, trying to figure out what went wrong, and then realized I went through like the red pill rage or the red pill anger phase. I tell guys, try not to stay in that too much. At first, you're mad at society, then you're mad at women, then you're mad at yourself. So try to accelerate that phase as much as possible. So I didn't get stuck in it too long, but it did come back every now and then eventually. I found your stuff, and like MLD does good stuff like on the inner game and the mindset stuff, and realized, okay, well, there's some things I need to work on internally that'll probably like not even about the game at this point, just for me to feel better about myself and start conquering the world the way in which I see fit. And that translated to my game very quickly, to the point where guys who follow me, I know there's a lot of guys in the space that say like, oh, all women are like that, or all women are terrible, or they're B's or S's or whatever. I'm like, no, I have good relationships with all women in my life. Now there are terrible women, but I choose not to have relationships with them, even platonic, even like my parents' friends or anything like that. I'm like, yeah, I don't want it. No, I don't want to go meet your friend. I don't like her. And that's it. So I have good relationships with women, and on my channel, I'll start bringing women on too, because they'll reach out and say, hey, I want to collaborate. I'm like, okay, well,
I have a stack of women I need to bring in here. I gotta be doing more videos. I've been so focused on the Mastermind group and those guys that it's just a focus thing. I had to get them started and on a track, and would been really good. But yeah, we'll be doing. It's good to bring in chicks though. If it fits the content that you're putting out, there's a perspective there. And for God's sakes, we're trying to, most of you guys are trying to date women. So why not listen? That doesn't mean you're going to follow their advice. And that goes back to looking for a guru. If you're looking for someone to follow, like, because you're not strong enough inside yourself to, set your own goals and find your own identity, then don't pick a girl dating coach or a girl's advice, because you're not supposed to follow the girl, you're just supposed, but listening to the girl's perspective to get an understanding of that perspective, it's like studying the fish before you catch them. It's fun. You're not listening to the fish's advice on how to catch themselves, but you're just kind of low. You're just like studying the behavior of the creature in their environment, and they have insights and perspectives that's valuable, for God's sakes, if you're willing to listen to it.
Well, it's kind of like you mentioned, like the race thing with Donovan. Like, okay, I think there was a podcast I was on at one point. There was a black host, and I mentioned something like, "Hey, stop voting for Democrats." And then I was like, "Oh no, did I just do that? Did I just say that to his audience?" He went on for 20 minutes to expand upon my points. I'm like, okay, good. Like,
yeah, of course,
you have that vote of confidence. So with women, it's the same way. I had one on saying like, "How disappointed are you when you get all dolled up?" And I was like, and let's be honest, like, if you're late, it's not like you're an hour late. Like a lot of guys get mad at girls, like, "Oh, she's an hour late. It took her that long to get ready." I was like, "No, she'd been getting ready in her mind for the next few days, or for the previous few days. She spent all afternoon, especially when she comes over. She's got like the wax and she's all dolled up and she's dressed to the nine. Like, she did that for you, dude." And I asked the girl, like, "How disappointed are you when the guy doesn't know how to make a move? Like, he doesn't escalate. You show up and it's just a dead conversation." I've lived with girls like in college. I've seen them come home pissed off. She's like, "Oh my God, yes," and then starts telling stories. Well, that helps. That helps collaborate or corroborate my point, and it gives me good insight too. These are things I already know because I've experienced them, but to say like, "Hey, see guys, like this, the women don't like it when you don't make a move either, especially if she was really excited for the date." So it does help to get the outside perspective.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna just jump over to chat stuff, and you guys could be cool and do a super chat if you really want me to answer your question. That's Yankee. But in lieu of you doing a super chat, what you're going to do instead is you're going to go to Jaren's YouTube channel, and you're going to hit subscribe to his channel. And that's what all the rest of you guys who watch this, whether it's right now or whether it's later on today or whatever, I'll have a link in the description of the video. Nice. Jaren, if you want to throw a link to your YouTube in the chat, if you're able to do that, cool. But I'll have a link in the description later. And don't worry if you can't. We'll just get it in the description.
Yeah, I just have the private access. Yeah.
Fine. Yeah, my bad. But I'm bad with technology, so that's my fault. But we'll get it.
No, you're good.
Yeah, you guys go over there and subscribe to that. Subscribers are vanity metrics. However, in the beginning of a channel's life, you have to get to 1,000 for them to start pushing your stuff out. This man has good videos, so we need to get them out into the space versus the garbage that's out there. You guys can help that along by just hitting that subscribe button. Let's get them to 1,000. right? So then we can get that stuff out there.
Get going.
So
Yeah.
this is a cool little question, and I have an answer to it as well. But I'll let
Yeah,
you
I do too.
start. So what do you think about this one, man? Do women generally like facial hair or clean shaven? Serious question.
I think it depends on the guy. So I do the beard thing. I understand guys that do beards, like especially if you have like a weaker chin or if you have like a little fat underneath your face or something like for overall head shape. I understand that, but I actually like my features when I'm not bloated. I have like nice chiseled jawline. I've got a cleft in my chin, like really strong chin. But I grew the beard. I was locked down in Houston for Hurricane Harvey and just got lazy, didn't shave. And I'd always wanted to grow a beard. I had started TRT at that point. I was like, oh, I'll let it go. And then it just filled in. It started
Yeah.
filling in.
No, yeah, your
So
beard looks cool. My beard looks stupid, so I just kind of let it go a little scruffy.
I
That's
get
it.
I get some patches, but they're not too bad. The
Yeah.
last barber cut it too short, so it's kind of transparent.
Yeah.
But
So I'll throw a little bit of advice for the guys here, because this is something we do, because I have a year long for the guys in the Mastermind program, which, by the way, the links for guys who want to get, I have a few slots left in the premium, but we're getting close to where I can't take anymore. But and you have to schedule a session with my course administrator, and he's going to interview and sort of see if you're a good fit, and you decide, of course, if you're a good fit. But I got these guys, we're going hard for a year on seduction and stuff, and so we have more time, to build things up. And what I have them do, and this is if you guys, whether the guys in the audience, yeah. So with the guys in the audience, whether you're in my program or not, you do this anyway, is you figure out your identity. You want to get really strong in that. You do there's mental fitness work and stuff that I have in the mindset course too, that, will get you there, and you get a strong idea of who you are independent of everybody else's influence. And then from there, you decide, okay, what archetype am I going to fill? What type am I going to fill? So this girl is going to see me as an attractive male, but what kind of an attractive male? The attractive analytical engineer, the attractive, NBA basketball player, or ex-college baseball player who now does, whatever corporate sales, or like what version, the bodybuilder, the soldier, the hero, the artist, the musician, the drummer in the band,
a bit of all of them. I chose a bit of all of them.
Right. And so, and it can definitely be a combination of any of those things. And you decide, like, what is my attractive archetype? What is the type that is girls are gonna bang the drummer in the band, right? And he's a certain type, right? Girls are also gonna bang the athlete too. Do you have two different types? Maybe it's a merge of both, like who knows? But you decide your thing, and then from there you build your appearance. And maybe that appearance involves a beard and be looking like more, let's say, more like a kind of a hippie artist, or maybe looking more like a little bit scraggled or something, or maybe you're more clean cut, right? And maybe you're more of a guy in like upscale clothes, like a James Bond look or something. James Bond doesn't have a scraggly beard, right? Those are two different archetypes, but you decide how you want to look. And then you look at your facial features and what's going to extend those features and make you more attractive based on the look that you have. So just like Jaren said, I mean, if you don't have like the chiseled jaw and you have some fat, maybe having some scruff and shaving yourself in a way so it kind of shapes your jaw better would be a great option for you. If you got a really good face though, and you have a good jawline, maybe you don't do a beard and you can show that off, because that'd be attractive to a woman anyways. When women are sitting there just typing dumb things on the internet, like, oh, a man with tattoos and a beard, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's just because that's their attraction triggers, and that's what's popular. Women don't know what makes them drawn to a guy. So they try to sort of figure it out, and it ends up being like things that have worked with them in the past based on what's trending. So the dude who's that we'll call it lumber sexual looking guy, when that was cool for a while.
Yeah, I remember
wearing the plaid shirt and the beard. He can't lift some body weight, but he's got the plaid shirt and the beard. He's got tattoos and maybe a gauge in his ears. That guy banged her a few times, so now she says that guy is the guy I want. But you walk in with a chiseled jaw and no beard, right, and a different archetype, but you're attractive anyway, and you make that connection with her on a seductive level. Like, she's still going for you, and in fact she's saying then, yeah, like I don't know what it is. He's not usually my type, but I just find myself attractive. That's the story she ends up telling you. But anyway, that's a little
For
piece on that.
for me, yeah, I like my face clean shaven.
Right.
Although I have to be leaner to get the nice facial features. So if my body fat starts getting up, like it looks kind of rounded. And I have a long face too. So with the beard, I can kind of square it up a bit. But I just asked, like girls I was dating at the time, they overwhelmingly told me, like, hey, all of them, 100% of them, I like you better with a beard. And in my head, I'm like, well, I like myself clean shaven too. But I had always wanted a beard. I was trying to like go for a more masculine type look. So I
Yep.
grew it, and then it was a pain in the ass to grow initially, and I haven't cut it off since. I think I've had it for like 6-7 years now.
Yeah.
But it's part
Yeah.
of my look.
Part of your
So
look, man. You
so
rock it. It looks good.
so
Yeah.
I don't change up haircuts. I don't change up styles. I don't do any of that. So my archetype was I tell girls in Mexico all the time. They're like, I don't know why I really like you. I normally don't like Americans, and I always say I'm a classical American,
Right.
and that drives them nuts because they know what that means. Or they'll
Sure.
ask, where are you from? I lived in California 10 years. I've lived in Texas 10 years. I've lived in Washington for 10 years, and I've lived in Mexico the rest of the time. So
Yeah.
really, where am I from? I could say any of those. So
Yeah.
if I'll be like, oh, I'm from Texas. Well, in their head, they know what that means. They have a stereotype of what a Texan is like. Oh, but I also lived in California. They have an idea of what that means. So really, I just embody different elements of my personality. And on my Instagram, I show that too, that there's different layers to me, and I'm a very dynamic person. So like I'm a marketing nerd, and I can geek out and do academic papers all day long, and then I can pick up the guitar and belt some high notes. And there's just always a box of surprises. Or girls in the US, a lot of people here, I don't broadcast that I speak Spanish, and then they see my
Right.
Instagram and I'm singing in Spanish. They're like, wait, hold on, how'd you learn that? I'm like, oh yeah, I played baseball in Mexico. Just well, hold on, there's a story there, and it just keeps piquing their interest. So
So you're
I always tell my guys, be interesting in general, just
there.
do
You
fun
are.
shit.
And so that's a really good point you're making. I want you to expand on it because I do have talked about this before, and I'll give a broad thing on it. But what you
Yep.
just did there was a subtle drop of what we call a DHV or demonstration of higher value. But you weren't doing it in a way where it's like, hey, look at me, I did this. It's a subtle thing. So, expand a bit on that and how you use that to drop those DHVs and draw a girl in.
Yeah, I tell my guys all the time, and I need to start doing content on it. As far as like how to tell a good story, just be really
Mm.
good at telling stories. And I learned this actually. I had backpacked through Central America one year with a professor of mine in Mexico. He was an Italian guy. We were about the same age. He was a young professor, so he's like, "Hey, like all the Mexicans are going to go home and be at their families for these holidays. We have like because there's so many holidays down there. You're always off.
Yeah.
So like, hey, let's rent a car and drive the country together." So he had real good game, and I remembered like night after night he'd pull chicks, and I'd be like, I got to a point like I'm tired of hearing these same damn stories. But he told me at one point, he's like, learn to tell good stories because you can pack so much information in there, rather than the back and forth interview. Like, what's your favorite color? Where are you from? What was your family like? How many siblings do you have? I can tell that story. There's a story I tell like I had to plan a bachelor party last minute for a buddy, one of my brother's Marine buddies before they were going to deploy. He's like, bad idea. I don't advise young military guys to do this. They always end up tragically. But
Yeah.
the divorce parties are fun too. So I'll plan those on the back end of that equation.
Right.
But I tell a story like planned a bachelor party. It's like, yeah, I got my brothers together, met up in San Diego. Some friends from Mexico flew up. Some friends from Washington, some friends from Texas flew out. We all rolled out to Vegas. It was like me and my buddies and a bunch of rowdy Marines. And then that's how the weekend starts. But just in the preface of that story, there's a lot of information that I have brothers, that I support the military, that I have friends from different countries, that I
Right.
can get a group of people together and organize this whole thing. And then the story just turns ridiculous from there. And there's a climax to it.
Sure.
It's like a 5, 6, 7 minute long story, but there's a lot of information in there that she can start making her own inferences, get that hamster spinning, and be like, oh my God. The reaction I usually get from girls, I'm in Latin America most of the time, but usually when I'll tell a story and they're like, who are you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they see me like I'm a dork on a computer just working all day, but I do fun stuff too.
Sure.
And I live my life this way. Well before Red Pill, I would always I realized that life is finite, it's precious, it's a miracle that we're alive. So I had that part of me already online. So when I had opportunities, like I was 18 or 19, like, hey, do you want to go? It was a direct exchange. Like, hey, do you want to go to Mexico? They want to send a student here for an engineering program, but we need someone to send in his place. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And then it was a direct exchange. So every semester he'd be like, hey, Jaren, do you mind staying in Mexico? I was like, no, do you mind staying in Idaho? He's like, oh yeah, it's awesome. I'm like, great. Yeah, we'll do it that way. but really it's just saying yes to experiences where you'll get a good story out of it.
That's good.
Granted,
And learning how to tell it, which is what you're really
exactly.
good at. I want to
But
push point out
when you're in the motion, when you're in the
Go ahead.
experience, I tell guys, be observant, like look around and like, oh, this is funny. This is an unusual detail. Oh, this will add some flair to the story. So be cognizant when you're living these experiences of how to tell a story. And that works a lot because I don't tell girls about myself. They'll ask me something or something will come up like, oh, this reminds me of a time. And I'll tell them a story and there's just a ton of information that they can.
That's great, dude. That's awesome. I love that because that's such a good thing. And that's, well, yeah, using storytelling to engage in an audience, whether that audience is, hey, you're public speaking on a TED Talk or something, or you're talking to a chick and you're sort of giving her the impression of your value and seducing her, right? And what I like about is something that you say there, guys will notice who've been following my stuff, that Jaren does this naturally. It's like one of the things, you guys, when game recognizes game, when you know somebody's good, you start picking up on stuff and then you separate them from the BS that's out there in the internet. So he's talking about how he tells a story, and what he's illustrating is how he leaves more questions than answers with the story, just out of a natural thing. So they're hamsters caffeinated going, wow, what kind of guy backpacks in Europe? Like, where'd you go in Europe, bro? Like, you just said that without even trying. You're being authentic. You're being you. You're not being a different person. You're not trying to do some weird technique, but it's just the way that you tell it is interesting and conveys and makes a person want to hear more, but it also leaves them with more questions and answers about you. And curiosity is the precursor to desire and attraction. And so
I
now
always leave them wanting more. That's a marketing and sales thing too. Don't oversell. Yep.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. So yeah, man, game recognizes game. You guys can hear just from this little interaction that Jaren has his stuff together. And so he's got a really good way of presenting it. So I'm really glad to have you on. Unfortunately, guys, I have to leave early and I have stacked with appointments today. We're going to do more. I'm going to have you more as a guest and we're going to get
I appreciate it.
your subs to where they need to be. So your channel is going to bypass mine in like probably a month. Because I
can join the circle.
Dude, you do all the right things though to market like your stuff, and I do none of the right things. Like, so I'll have to clean that up here over the next few months myself.
Well, but Rich keeps telling guys to follow my Instagram, so I like every time he name drops me, I get like 1,000 new followers. And it's not like I had few followers to begin with. I already had a good following. Mostly from dating apps, so. A lot of guys go on there that like, oh, we want to see the girls because I date good looking girls, and eventually they'll come onto my channel when I'm back in Mexico. I'll bring my girls on.
Nice. So we got Jerry. Thank you so much, Jerry. I miss you, bro. You're the man. Jerry's an awesome dude, right? And it was nice to see him on here today. And thanks, Janky. That was a great question, bro. I appreciate the super guys. All right, everybody. I appreciate it once again. I'm going to throw that link in the description of this video and make sure you guys, or just search Men's Shrine on YouTube. It'll crop up. Go over there, give the guy a hand, hit the subscribe button, like a few videos. Let's get his stuff out there and snuff out these other losers that give out terrible advice but have a ton of subs, right? So
there are some guys that give good advice, but they package it in a way that I'm like, oh, like I don't necessarily agree with the method of delivering the message, but there are nuggets of gold in there too. So
100%,
so,
dude. 100%.
Yeah, I'm an academic. I just try to PowerPoint presentations like it's a college lecture. Here, we're gonna walk on through this today, class. But it's helping guys out. So I appreciate the support, Paul.
Hell yeah, man.
And for your following.
All right, dudes. All right, everybody. You guys stay safe. Be good. I'll catch you next time.